Almost 1 million leftover women in Shanghai. Who are they? After reading this, I laughed. In February of this year, a new statistic came out. The number of older single women in Shanghai surpassed 900,000 and is now approaching 1 million. Some friends were puzzled. Didn't the 2022 census show that there are 32.37 million more men than women in China? If there are over 30 million surplus men, how can there still be so many single women? And people are also curious. What kind of women end up being left single? It's said that most of the single women in Shanghai are of high quality. But if that's the case, why aren't they getting married? Is it because they don't want to? Today, I'm here to explain the real situation behind these leftover women. First, why are the single women in Shanghai considered high quality? The commonly accepted definition of high quality usually refers to women with high income, high education, good family background, and good looks. Now, let's take a look at Shanghai. It's the country's economic and financial center, a mega city that's highly developed, where local families generally have strong financial foundations. Shanghai's resident population has exceeded 24 million, with women making up 48.2%. That's over 11.5 million women. Among them, about 900,000 are between the ages of 30 and 40, at a typical marrying age but still single. Research shows that single women aged 20 to 30 are the main force behind property purchases in Shanghai, and this trend continues to rise. Considering that housing prices in Shanghai are sky high, if these women are buying property alone and for personal use, not for marriage, it clearly shows their strong purchasing power, meaning they have high incomes. In addition to being wealthy, these women are generally highly educated. The more developed a region, the better the educational resources, and the more emphasis families place on education. Shanghai, being one of the earliest windows of China's opening to the world, has long promoted women's independence compared to more traditional areas where women were confined to domestic roles. Today, women's participation in higher education in Shanghai even exceeds that of men, reaching 50.9%. If you visit Shanghai's marriage markets, you'll find that almost everyone is a graduate of top universities, 211, 985ths, or studied abroad. According to the Shanghai Women's Federation, over 90% of local women hope their children will at least earn a bachelor's degree. This shows how highly they value education. Thus, highly educated and financially independent women also tend to have higher standards when choosing a partner. There's a psychological concept that women's mate selection generally leans upward. They prefer partners who are better than themselves. But these 900,000 women are already above average. Finding someone even better is extremely difficult. Men who meet their criteria are rare, which leads many of them to remain single. Second, why are these women considered those who refuse to compromise with reality? In traditional Chinese culture, marriage is primarily about continuing the family line. That's why there's so much pressure from parents and relatives to marry, especially during holidays when it often trends on social media. To the older generation, marriage is a necessary life step. If everyone marries and you don't, you're seen as odd. Even marrying someone so-so is considered establishing a proper family. Some parents, desperate for their children to settle down, even encourage them to marry down. Recently, a news story went viral about parents forcing their daughter to meet a 30-year-old man with no car, no house, and a very ordinary job. The parents kept insisting he was excellent. The daughter, who wasn't materialistic, rejected him for two reasons. It would have been a long-distance relationship, and she didn't feel any connection. The result? A huge argument with her parents that ended in tears. Cases like this are very common. As mindsets change, many young people no longer want to marry just for the sake of marrying. They seek relationships based on emotional connection and shared values. If they can't find that, they would rather stay single than settle. But older generations often don't understand, leading to even more pressure. Some women give in to parental pressure and marry to satisfy their families. Others do not. These women usually have strong personalities and high self-awareness. They refuse to let others dictate their lives. They withstand all the pressure and choose to remain single rather than compromise. Third, why are these women said to fear marriage and childbirth? The previous two categories still maintain a maybe marry, maybe not attitude. But this group has almost no intention of getting married at all. These are women who fear both marriage and childbirth. Why? First, because society has evolved. They are more educated, more aware, and they expect more from life. Never underestimate women. They too have ambitions and desires. They no longer want to live under control. However, the mainstream model of marriage still adheres to tradition. Men work outside, women manage the household, and it's usually the woman who sacrifices her career for the family. More reflective women realize that what they would lose in marriage far outweighs what they would gain, and that over time, compromising for the family weakens their social standing. In addition, social issues like insufficient maternity leave and workplace discrimination still exist. Many employers are reluctant to hire or promote women, fearing that maternity leave will disrupt work. Thus, when forced to choose, many women prioritize their careers over starting families. At its core, the fear of marriage and childbirth stems from a lack of social security. Women's rights are still not fully protected. Finally, what really defines a high-quality woman? The biggest issue is that men and women have different standards when evaluating what high quality means. A woman might believe that wealth, education, and good looks make her high quality, but many men value youth, beauty, and fertility more. Some even see the concept of an older, high-quality woman as self-consolation. A simple analogy. You often see signs on empty shops saying, "Prime location for rent." The owner thinks it's a great spot, but nobody rents it. Reality is harsher. It's similar with women. You might think you're excellent, but if no one chooses you, it doesn't matter in the dating market. In the end, your money won't be spent on the man. Your house won't become his house, and your salary won't be for his benefit. This gap in perceptions is one of the key reasons behind the phenomenon of leftover women. So, after all, what does it mean to be high quality? Whatever the case, getting married or staying single is a personal choice. We need to learn to respect other people's choices, focus more on ourselves, and live our own lives well.